Okay, just got back from Shang-Chi. I just gotta say, I'm I'm hopeful and excited for the future of the MCU. The way everything's gonna go, and let's play with this a minute. Hey, he got extra bounce. That's cool. Um, but yes, I'm excited for the future of the MCU. Very much excited. Um, it was I I was split. Like, I mean, the action, the martial arts. Oh man, the to me the martial arts was only rivaled by the wire fu. I don't know why I said waifu. Wire fu that was done in the Matrix. I was blown away by the martial arts in Shang-Chi. Um, I will probably revert back and forth between Shang-Chi and Shang-Chi because it's it's just weird. Um, I I gotta say the the movie itself blew me away. I mean, completely blew me away. Welcome this man, make him an Avenger. Short, sweet, and to the point. Make him an Avenger. He's already there. Um, you know, you get Doctor Strange to go boom, boom. You're an Avenger. That'd be perfect. There there is a plenty in the spoiler section to discuss, but the the initial buildup of the way the movie was laid out to begin with, it was it was just awesome. I mean, it starts out with a big battle at the beginning. There's a big battle at the end. I mean, it fits snugly right where it needs to fit. Um, I will say that the the young lady Aquafina, I was a little like, what? All right, right on. Aquafina, I thought was I was okay. I'm about to go old school here. Honestly, I thought Aquafina was gonna be like the nails on the chalkboard of the movie, and I was like, oh man, but she's not. She's not the nails on the chalkboard of the movie. She's it, like initially it was like, oh my, okay, get her, park her in a chair, and let her watch this film too. Um, but she had her place, and all the goofiness from Aquafina. And mind you, I don't know who Aquafina is, other than just she's an actress. I don't know if she's a rapper or if she's a comedian. I don't know. But anyhow, I'm gonna go with it. But she was very likable, even in the very beginning where it was like, oh my goodness, girl, you are so annoying. She was a likable annoying. Like, you could get on board with it. Um, the actor who played Shang Chi, dude is amazing. I mean, his martial arts skills are whoever did his choreography and whatnot and helped him out as far as learning him some stuff, smartening him up. Keep that team together because that's the only way it'll work going forward. Honestly, only way. He did an amazing job at the martial arts. I like how they were discreet about it. But for real, it looked like it looked like a mashup between Facebook. It looked like what would happen if Facebook and YouTube had a baby. There was one part at the very beginning on a bus where dude breaks out his phone and he's like, "Yo, it's your boy coming at you." I'm like, and then he showed his phone and they got like heart emojis and laughy face emojis and whatnot, and I'm like, YouTube don't do that. YouTube does not have the ability for using at least I don't think it does. I've watched a few live videos on YouTube, and I'm almost certain they don't do that. I think the exclusivity on that deal for live videos is Facebook. I think that your emojis that actually pop up on the screen like that. I think that I think that's Facebook. But anyhow, I don't know. I've not been live before on YouTube on my end, at least, as far as me going live from my phone. So I don't know. Yeah, it's got a very well paced story. I honestly want to know more. I really and truly do. I want to know so much more about the world. The world that they built was beautiful. It was, honestly, it was amazing. I can't. I can't even. The world that they showed, just the physical representation of the world. It was awesome. I loved it. It was beautiful. I mean, the scenery in China, or I think he said Morocco, but I believe it was China. That scenery was beautiful, and then I think it was called Tai Lo or something like. If I'm butchering these names, please y'all forgive me. I'm sorry. My Japanese, Spanish, Chinese, all that's rusty. I was like way rusty. But yes, that was gorgeous, just the way they did that. I honestly, I stopped trying to critique the movie at one point. It was like, I can't even critique this. This is just too good. I mean, it's up there with Avengers Infinity War for me. It really is. It ranks fairly high. It's got honestly, I wouldn't even say Infinity War. I would say all the Avengers films, with the exception of Endgame, but Endgame's not even included in that list, only because of the deaths. I'm sorry. But anyhow. But no, it was perfect. The way it was beautiful. It was amazing. I loved every bit of it. The one thing that I will say that I'm not a fan of, mainly, and for those of you who have followed the channel long enough, you know, I'm visually impaired. I'm not a fan of having to read subtitles in a movie because it is it's so fast paced. Takes me a second to focus in so I can read it, but I was okay with this because they paced out the subtitles enough, and some of the language was long enough where it was drawn out enough that I could actually read the subtitles, and I was happy with that. I was very happy with it. The first 10 minutes, I guess, of the movie were nothing but, if you don't speak the language you're reading, get on board. So that was okay. At first I honestly was like, in my head I'm going, oh no, if I have to read this, I'm gonna be so frustrated. Like, I don't want to sit through a 2-hour plus movie and have to read the movie. I don't want to do that. I have sat through one movie that was fully subtitled, in a theater. Yeah. It was Passion of the Christ. Luckily enough, I know the crucifixion story from the Bible, so there you go. We're good. That being said, yeah, I'm very much on board with it. Very, very much on board with everything they did there. I don't even know. I don't know what else I can say about it. I mean, you need to see this movie. It was great. The fact of his father being the quote unquote bad guy in the story, and then like you find out more about what changes him, and it has to do with Shang-Chi's mom. I mean, short, sweet, and to the point. It's his mom that helps change his father. But yeah, it was great. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna throw it out at a because it was my first full blown foray into a martial arts film. I've got to throw it out at a 9.5. I mean, it was, to me, it was that good. It left me wanting. Story wise, the story wrapped itself up wonderfully. They did what they needed to do. They came, they saw, they kicked his face in. But it left me wanting a sequel. Like, I want to see more of this character. I want to see more of his world and what he does. I will say that I will talk about it more, but there was a there was a full-blown amendment made in this movie to Iron Man 3. It doesn't redeem it, but it's still there. But anyhow, so I say 9.5 out of 10. I'm going with that. I like it. It's perfect. I have to rank it the way I see it, and to me, it was that good. That I didn't even rank Black Widow that high. That should say something. And Black Widow's been around a lot longer, and so for me, having no knowledge of Shang-Chi, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was absolutely amazing. If you liked the video, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Y'all ain't commenting. I'm just going to say that. You're not commenting. I mean, you know, even if you go all Happy Gilmore on me and go, you suck, jackass, I'm okay with that. Do that. If that's what you got to do that. If you're not doing that because you're afraid of hurting my feelings, trust me, if you were following this mess a year ago, you know, y'all ain't gonna hurt my feelings. Not at all. If anything, it kind of hurts my feelings when nobody does comment. It's like, man, come on, y'all. Hey, I'm putting in the work. Throw me a bone. Give me a compliment. Like, point me in a direction. Am I going right or am I going left? You know, am I doing good? You know, give me some of that. Negative feedback is good feedback, I guess. Just let me know something. That being said, hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to get better at keeping them more concise. So hopefully this does the trick. If you enjoyed it so far and you're curious to know what some of the spoilers are, stick around because we're going into the spoiler section next. All right. Into the spoiler section. First and foremost, let me go ahead and get this off my chest. Mother loving Ben Kingsley. Friggin' Trevor from Iron Man 3 up in this film. I'm just gonna say it. I didn't mark out. I'm sorry. I despise that dude in Iron Man 3. He was like a total jerkwad. I mean, not because he's an actual jerk, but because I just something about that guy, I just didn't like it. Like, he wasn't pulling none of the strings in Iron Man 3. I'm gonna try not to go on an Iron Man rant here because I can quickly. You see the shirt. I can go on a rant real fast about it. Yeah, no. Okay, yeah, why not? Screw it. Listen, Trevor in Iron Man 3, he weren't pulling none of the strings. That was all Killian. And for them to get the most cracked out, doped up piece of garbage that they could and be like, yo, it's an acting gig. And he's like, really? It's an acting job? all right, cool. If he's that hard up, he need to just give up acting and go get a job working at a grocery store or something. I mean, your mom and pops are hiring all the time. Come on, McDonald's, McDonald's down the road from my house. They got a sign up that says "Help Wanted, all shifts." I'm like, yep, sure enough. So he could have found a job working somewhere. He did not need the acting money that they were gonna pay him. He could have gotten a job and went and worked. Okay, God, that rant felt good. It sure did. I do not know Ben Kingsley at all. He did an amazing job because I'm pretty sure he's not like that at all in person in real life. But as far as his character, Trevor, it's like, oh, yo, if he was one of the ones falling out of Air Force One when Iron Man was saving all those people, let him fall. Save humanity. Let him fall. He does. Now, the nice thing is, and this, honestly, I marked out a lot for this because, when it comes to Marvel stuff, Iron Man is my favorite, period. Short, sweet, and to the point. Rest in peace is Tony Stark. But they did clean up Iron Man 3 a lot. And they used Shang-Chi's dad to do it. And the way they did it was really nice. And I loved it. I loved how they did it. Because they basically had Shang-Chi and his sister sitting at a table with their father. And when they were sitting at the table, his dad's like, yo, there was a group of people over in the U.S. a few years ago, tried using the name of my organization and put up some knucklehead as their leader. Not me. Obviously. And I'm like, yeah, oh, here we go. And I'm like, I never was expecting to see it. I was never in my life anticipating to see this. And then they later on they show the three. Katie, I think her name was Aquafina. I think played Katie. And then you have Shang-Chi's sister and Shang-Chi. They were all three locked up because Shang-Chi and his sister refused to join their father. Well, I mean, I kind of get that. I'll get to that in a moment. But when they were locked up, they started hearing this noise in the cell that they were in. So then Shang-Chi, he's like going to go investigate. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do this. Yeah. Go back there, lo and behold, sitting in the same cell, just further off in the back of the table, looking like just hanging out, chilling. Ben Kingsley. I'm like, under my breath, I'm like, Trevor. Here we go. This dude, he can't even beat a Mandarin. And that's another thing Shang-Chi's dad made fun of, was the fact that they called the leader of their organization by an orange. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's funny. But with the beginning of the film, Shang-Chi's in America. Now, I know we talked about that because it fed into the Trevor thing from Iron Man, and I had to rant. So please forgive that. That had to take precedence over everything else. But I did like the fact that they kind of cleaned that up. Like, yeah, that was a fake organization. We're making sure that was fake, that we knew that wasn't the real deal. Here's the real one. It's like, okay, real bad guys to the front. And so, in the beginning, it starts out, when we first meet Shang-Chi, he is in the U.S. He's in San Francisco. And he and Katie, who's played by Aquafina, she's, as I said in the intro, in the rundown video, it was, honestly, I thought she was going to be an annoyance. I really did. I was like, oh my god, she's going to be such an annoyance in this film. I don't even know her, but she's going to be like, this character is going to be annoying, like not even funny annoying, just annoying. And she wasn't. She was not annoying at all. If anything, she was the exact opposite of what I anticipated. Like, she's going to be hilarious and I'm going to like this. This is going to be fun. And she was a gaggle, man. I loved it. Because when you first see her and Shang-Chi, they're standing there and they're doing valet duty at a hotel. This dude walks up and he flips the keys to Shang-Chi, and she ends up getting the keys from him. And, he's like, yo, get out of the car. Shang-Chi is. He's like, get out of the car. She's like, I'll be really careful. I promise. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, we'll see how this goes. Sure enough, you see her next scene. It went from them talking, him standing beside the car, to the next scene is a cut, and she's power sliding this $100,000+ sports car around a curve. It's just going off. I'm like, okay, she's fitting to destroy this car. So I thought that was totally good. It was funny, and she did bring some humor to it, and I was very happy to see that. She was definitely plucky comic relief number one for sure. Then another memorable moment is they're on a bus heading to their job, and it's one of those. I've never seen a bus like this. It's a bus that's got like an accordion in the middle. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then they're on this bus and they're going to work. And I'm guessing it's because they work valet that driving a car is kind of pointless. So that's why they take the bus. Because obviously you have to have a driver's license to do valet work. But they're sitting there and they're on the bus, and this guy just comes up to Shang-Chi and he's like, yo, give me your necklace. And I'm like, bruh. And she's like, do you know him? He's like, nuh-uh. And then all of a sudden, then the martial arts breaks out. And dude just going off, going ham. I mean, just kicks, punches, everything. It's good. Until this great big old, Igor looking type just rolls up on scene, and he's like he dwarfs Shang-Chi. I mean, he's huge, and the guy sits there and he's missing basically from like here ish up, he's missing that, and it's a cuff. Well, there's a sword that comes out of it. Like a short sword. I forget what it's called, but it's a short sword. It's not a dagger, but it's a shorter sword. And it glows. It glows. We got to talk about that too. And he's fighting Shang-Chi. Well, suffice it to say, ends up cutting the bus in half. And as is with most villains, you're like, okay, yeah, he's not dying. It's not over yet, so he can't die. Well, then you cut to Shang-Chi in his apartment with Katie, and she's basically going, what is going on? And he's like, I gotta go to Macau to find my sister. And I'm like, okay. And it was Macau I meant, not Morocco. I do apologize. But it was Macau. And he's got to go to Macau to find his sister before his dad does, because he knew that's what was coming, was his dad. And when he's like, I'll let you know when I get back. And she's like, no, I'm going with you. And I'm like, okay, this is already good. So then they go to the address on a postcard that he had gotten, and apparently his sister runs the place, and he did not know this. It's basically like an underground fight club. Well, the one funny part about the beginning of this deal is, as soon as they get there, he's instantly identified as Busboy from a YouTube video. I was like, Busboy? Wow. Because dude just comes out of left field, goes, Busboy! I'm like, bruh, Busboy? I'm like, huh? Did I honestly, I had this moment in my head going, did I fall asleep? did I miss something? And then when I saw the YouTube video, I'm like, oh, but bus, like beep beep bus, not like bus boy cleaning up tables. Because that's where my brain went for whatever dumb reason. I don't know why. It was a good time at the theaters. Let's put it like that. It was a very good time. So anyhow, he's enrolled in a fight when he signed a tablet that I guess he thought was like checking off on a guest list. Apparently he was signing to fight. And, you know, he was like, okay, so is it going to take place right in here? And dude's like, nah, you on the big stage, homie. You bus boy, you on the big stage. I'm like, okay. Well, then you see, as they're walking around, then you see this gigantic looking creature. I don't even know what to call it. I'm just going to call it a creature for now because, I mean, you could call it Kong, but it's not a monkey, I don't think. Anyhow, you see this humongous thing, and he's fighting a guy, and then camera gives you the look, and as soon as it happened, I'm like, Wong! I said that out loud. I'm like, Wong! Like, in the theaters, like, y'all don't need to be taking me to see no movies. I'm serious. Y'all don't want to go sit with me, because I will full on add commentary. Because I do. I love to add adding commentary to me is fun. Especially when there ain't but like 10 people in the whole theater. Like, why is there only 10 people here? This is opening weekend for Shang-Chi. Y'all need to see the deal. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, Wong! And then all of a sudden, sure enough, I was like, man, if I spoke out of turn, this is going to suck for me. Well, all of a sudden, he does one of them little, glowing portal things like, in Doctor Strange. And I'm like, yes! So that was cool because I was honestly wondering, how are they going to tie this to the rest of the MCU? How is it all going to come together? Because, Marvel, they don't do nothing without having a plan. They really don't. Like when they put this movie out, they knew they were going to correct the blunder from Iron Man 3. And I'm glad they did, because it would have been a full-blown travesty to find out that Trevor was his father. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That would have just, I would have been pissed off and walked out. Like, I don't know how it was. I left. But yeah, so then after you see Wong defeat this big creature that he's fighting, and he defeats him in like, oh, this is the most screwed up way. It's like full blown. I'm like, even I said it. I'm like, Wong, that's cheating. It's cheating, because he made the thing punches, and as it punches at Wong makes a portal appear, and then the punch was redirected back at the creature, so he full on punched himself. I'm like, that's cheating, man. That's low. It's dirty. And it's still funny, but it was dirty. And then Wong creates a portal after the fight's over with, and he wins. He creates a portal, and they both walk through it together, and he's like, you gotta work on your punching. And I was like, yeah. And then, for whatever reason, they made Shang-Chi fight without a shirt. I don't quite get that, but okay. And then he's lining out, he's fixing to fight, and it's a girl. And you're like, okay, it's a girl. And as he prepares to fight her, he didn't realize it's his sister. And then he sees the necklace that she's wearing, a twin to his necklace. And once he sees it, he realizes it's his sister. And it's like, oh. And then, then they scrap for a good bit. And she ends up getting the better of him. And so then that's when she was mad at him, obviously, for a reason. You could tell it. And the reason she was mad was because, kind of jumping around a bit, but Shang-Chi's father had sent him on a mission when he was like 16. And the mission he went on he was supposed to be gone for 3 days, and he told her he'd be back in 3 days, and he never came back. He completed the mission, obviously, because it's what he does, but because that's how he was trained. He completed the mission, but then I guess, the guilt or whatever got to him, and he just was like, nope, that's it, I'm done. And so he walked away, and he did what he did. Well, Aquafina's there, his sister's there, he's there, and the one moment where I thought, oh crap, she's gonna die. This is not even cool. Because I wasn't thinking, oh, this is gonna suck, because we really don't need his motivations based off of the fact that his friend, the girl he likes, not his girlfriend, but she's a girl that he's friends with. We don't want his motivations to be based off of her death. And it was when his father's troops were chasing him, his sister, and Katie throughout the building. And then they get onto some scaffolding outside, which was, let me just say, that was cool. And as she's on this pole hanging, and as the pole's going backwards and whatnot, its lashing is breaking. Big fancy city like that, and they're using scaffolding held together with rope. I don't understand that, but okay. I would have thought cables would have been better, but hey, when in Rome. And as this pole is bending backwards, she's hanging on to it. And it doesn't matter if you weigh 50 pounds or if you weigh 250 pounds. I don't care what your body weight is. If you're on a pole and it starts flexing backwards, once it starts going backwards, once it reaches the point of no return, there's only one option, and that pole is going to snap. And that's exactly what it did. It snapped. And as she's falling, it shows the ground, and I'm watching this, and I'm going, oh, man, don't kill her off this early. I mean, come on. Don't even kill her off at all. She's cool. Because I had grown to like the character so far. And sure enough, Shang-Chi, last second, swoops in, grabs her by the hand, pulls her back up and everything. And then that's when they're kind of overwhelmed. And they're in a room. And then that's when the father walks in. So, and he told him, he's like, yo, I told my troops, y'all are not going to be able to kill him. And he was right. And so then that's when they're taken to his compound, and all these things are kind of opened up on. They did show where Shang-Chi's mother's from, and they showed how her and his father met. And how they met was, I'm just going to say it, that fight in and of itself, that fight sold me on Shang-Chi. Period. Shang-Chi did a great job doing what he did. I loved it. It was amazing. I could watch it again and again and again. Matter of fact, I thought about going to watch it tomorrow. Thought about it. Probably won't, but I thought about it. But with the fight scene between Shang-Chi's father and mother, when they first meet, he's there. He's got the 10 rings on his arms and everything, and he's trying to do him. And mom's just not having it. She's like, nah. And she ends up getting the better of him. But what made it so awesome was the way they did that. It looked like a dance. Like, it was martial arts, but it full blown looked like an actual dance. Like, it was beautiful in its choreography and the way it was lit, the way it was filmed, the way it was staged. Every move that they made, it was beautiful. I mean, it was just poetry in motion, if you will, baby. It was perfect. I loved it. I'm like, dude, this is excellent. It really is. So for that scene alone, if you like martial arts and you find beauty in martial arts, I took martial arts when I was younger. I'm not an expert in it. I'm not like a master. I can do enough to get me out of trouble if necessary. Although, I'm still. But if you like martial arts, you need to see this film. Period. It was that good. Um, there's the legend about his mom's village is that there are creatures there, and they're mystical creatures, I believe is how they phrased it. Well, the first creature we meet from there, we meet with Trevor. Well, Trevor's been a prisoner of the head of the 10 rings for so long, and so has this creature, that Trevor now can communicate with this thing, understand, like a think Han Solo and Chewbacca. Don't nobody know what Chewbacca's saying except Han Solo. It's kind of like we'll drag it more close to home. Kind of like Groot and the Guardians. The Guardians know what Groot's saying, but we're like, all we hear is I am Groot. And so, yeah. Well, this little critter right here ain't got no face. But it's like the first thought that came to my mind, and it's because Disney's attached to it. I guarantee that's the only reason. But the first thought that came to my mind when I saw this little creature was, oh, they brought the little footstool from Beauty and the Beast. Because if you remember from the animated one, I did not see the live action one. Nothing against Hermione Granger, but girlfriend, I'm sorry, they ain't. That's like Aladdin, the remake with Will Smith as Genie. It's like, no, not even the Lion King. No, y'all leave this mess alone. Y'all are messing with my childhood. Y'all need to stop it. That's all I'm saying. Don't be mucking with my childhood. If you're gonna make new stuff, make new stuff. Don't make live action of old stuff. Just leave my animateds alone. Swear to God, if they live action The Little Mermaid, I'm probably gonna lose my mind. I mean, now unless it looks good, if they get the same animators to do, no, leave it alone. Don't even get that idea up out your head. That's all I'm saying. Okay, yeah. Anyhow, sorry, another slight tangent. So, yes, the little footstool. I did not plan to say that. Oops. The little creature, that little creature was cool. I like it. And Ben Kingsley did have a part to play in this that wasn't as stupid as the Mandarin. He actually was a help to them. So that was really nice because he told them that the creature knew how to get back home. Because the only way to get to Tylo or Tylo, I think it's Tylo. The only way to get to Tylo is you have to follow a maze through trees. Now here's the kicker. The maze through the trees, it moves constantly. It's not just you follow a maze like think The Shining, the big maze in The Shining. It's not like that. Not a static maze. This maze is constantly moving. And Shang-Chi's father found this out because he was going through the maze. And when he went through the maze, this is how he initially met Shang-Chi's mother. When he went through the maze, the forest kind of sort of cut him off. And then, because he went there looking for this ultimate power, because he was on a power trip. I mean, when you have power, what do you want more of? More power. And that's when he met Shang-Chi's mom. So that's pretty much the ordeal there. And it was very, very cool to see how everything played out as far as them going through the maze and the way that Katie was driving. And if her name's not Katie, y'all, my bad, but I swear it was Katie. But the way she was driving through the maze and everything, and Trevor's like in the front seat with the little creature talking about you gotta stay in the bubble and whatnot. That was really cool the way they were navigating that. Shang-Chi's father's chasing him down, and then of course he ends up getting there. Because they all end up getting there. But once they arrive, because they arrive well before Shang-Chi's father and his army do. But once they arrive, then the elder of the village is like, yeah, y'all need to leave now. And then all of a sudden you hear this voice. And I forget what the subtitles read, but she was speaking. And basically it was like, no, their family, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden this woman walks out. And I'm like, oh, dude. She looks familiar. Not sister. I think it's mom's aunt who's there. But what the real kicker for me was, if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you, watch it. Don't let the haters deter you from watching what you want to watch. You watch what you want to watch and enjoy what you want to watch. Star Trek Discovery. There's a character named Philippa Georgiou. She is in this movie. And if it's not her, but it is. Because I went through that. I'm like, nah, that ain't her. When I saw her name in the credits, I'm like, yo, I was right. So seeing her in there, it was kind of cool to see her in, because that's where I recognized her from, was Discovery. So I was happy to see her there. And just her continuing on in explaining to Shang-Chi and his sister about their mother and everything. That was just way cool. And what I was saying about his dad's like got the 10 rings, but dad's not full-blown evil. If he was evil, think Thanos, he would have conquered the whole world. But he wasn't evil. And like I said, think Thanos. Dad had put it all away. Dad had took the rings off, put them in a box, locked them up, moved on from that life. He had put the whole 10 Rings organization in his rearview mirror. He was a dad. He was a father. Boom. He was a husband. He was a father. Excuse me. He was, husband and a father. And he had put all that in the rearview for his wife and 2 children. Well, then all of a sudden, mom gets killed to pay a blood debt. And that's what pushes him back up over the edge. He could have come down off of that, but he didn't, because he kept hearing this voice calling out to him, and he thought it was his wife. Not his wife. Just putting that out there, not the wife, because he was saying that she is trapped and everything behind a gate in Taylor. And so no, not his wife. And that's what brings everybody to Taylor, and they all start preparing. Shang-Chi and his sister were presented basically armor from their mother through their aunt. And then you see that they use dragon scales in their weaponry, which is freaking cool, man. I'm sorry, it's too cool. And then the big battle happens, and it's Shang-Chi and Dad going at it first. Because Shang-Chi's like, yo, I'm not going to let you destroy this village. Sorry, not going to happen. This is our family. You're not destroying this. And so Shang-Chi and his dad, they start fighting. Dad knocks him into the water and under the water. You're thinking, okay, when's he coming back? Well, Dad goes over, basically uses the rings and jumps across the lake over to the gates. And he starts using the rings, and he's boom. And then finally that didn't work, so he takes the rings off of this arm, flings them onto this arm, and then he's boom. With all the power of the 10 rings on one arm, he's trying to be like Iron Man. And so then you get these little baby dragons that come out, and they start sucking the souls out of people, killing folks, all to feed the big dragon. And I just got to say, that was kind of trippy. And the way that all played out was very, very trippy. I thought I didn't have to suspend my suspension of disbelief. It did not break that. I was still fully invested in the movie. As a matter of fact, I was very much just like, perfect. This is awesome. Let's see what happens. Shang-Chi is then brought up out of the water. Once the big dragon breaks through, they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? Because the dragon plays a part of their culture and their history and their story, because they were fighting the evil monster, which I'll call a dragon for the time being. They were fighting the evil monster, the people of the village were, and the dragon that protects them came in to help. And earlier on in the movie, when when Shang-Chi is a child, and his mother's alive, she makes the comment to Shang-Chi that he has the heart of their dragon. And so obviously the dragon comes up out of the water carrying Shang-Chi, and then Shang-Chi's riding the dragon around. Like, this is a full-blown dragon fight, and it's getting good. Well, the little dragons, they're still in play, because the friendly dragon is going around and eating the little micro dragons, and it's just nom 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 nommies. And so, but the ones that it hasn't gotten to yet, they're still snatching souls and taking it to the big evil dragon, and feeding them to that. And so, yeah, well, finally, Shang-Chi's father realizes what he has done, and that's when he makes the turn, and he wants to help, and he tries to. And as soon as that thing broke through, he was trying to help, and it did not work. And he looked at Shang-Chi and just made a motion like this and shot the rings at Shang-Chi, who had already had 5 of them on his arm to begin with. He had already acquired 5 from his. He took them straight up. He Cheshire catted them, but he had 5 of them, and he was using them against his father and in their fight. But they sit there and they both locked eyes, and then his father just thrusts the rings at him before the evil dragon comes down and kills him. So yeah, he kind of redeemed himself a little bit. Yeah, he did that jerk move of opening the gates and letting that thing out, but he still kind of redeemed himself, because he realized that he made a very big mistake, and that that his heart still, he was still wanting to be good. And so sisters fighting, they show a nice little training montage, but sisters fighting alongside the rest of the villagers. Katie learned how to use a bow, shot it a little bit high of the bullseye very first time she shoots, and I'm like, hey, it's not so bad. That's not bad. Good job. And not everybody can be Robin Hood, but still, you did good. You hit the target. That's where I'm at with that. You hit the target. That's the objective. And she did. Hits the target, and she's excited. And when the battle breaks out to begin with, the head of the military forces is like, no, you're staying here. And she's like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I agree with her. I'm like, that's messed up. She went through all that trouble to train. And then finally, when the evil dragon breaks through and everybody's running to the water, it's all like, she grabs a bow and it's like, okay, don't die. I'm like, what? Where's your confidence, man? Come on. Like, that's messed up. He was like, don't die. So that, to me, that was great in the way that all the characters, they all had something to do. Wasn't one person over the other. I mean, obviously, it's Shang-Chi's movie. His sister had some stuff to do. Katie had some stuff to do. Auntie had some stuff to do. So, I mean, it was very cool, because Auntie actually taught him how to fight like his mom did when she defeated his dad. So, because the only person to ever defeat his dad was his mom. So, that's something that Auntie taught, Shang-Chi. The end of the movie, you almost know there's going to be a sequel. And here's the thing. I don't know if it's good or bad. That's just the kicker. I don't know. Like, part of me wants to say, okay, it's cool, but then part of me's like, maybe not. Because at first, when it shows the very ending of it, it shows Dad's compound. It shows Shang-Chi's sister sitting in her room looking at pictures. And then the big dude who was on the bus at the earlier part of the movie, who was a part of the fight, who finally realized that, yo, we all need to work together to defeat this thing or we're all going to die. He comes in and says, they're ready for you. And talking to Shang-Chi's sister. She comes out. She sits on the chair of the 10 rings where Shang-Chi's father had sat. And she just says this one line and says, let's get started. And then you see these combatants just sparring back and forth. And it's all females to start out with. And then as the camera pans out, you start to see it's not just girls, there's guys too. So did she restart the 10 rings? What's her goal? I mean, like I said, my first thought was, she finna turn bad. But I didn't see a catalyst for her turning bad in the movie at all. I did not see that there. Okay, yeah, she ran her underground fight club, but still, that does not necessarily mean that it's a catalyst for somebody turning evil. Unless your name is Edward Norton, in which case, well, there you go. And then just the camera pans out through the whole thing and it ends. Your first stinger that pops up is they're sitting at a table. Shang-Chi and Katie are sitting at a table back in San Francisco with two of their friends. And there was a scene earlier on in the film that I won't get into because it's not really spoilery. It's just it's a scene between four friends. But that scene, the first stinger, the chick's like, oh, so you're making fun of my story from a couple weeks ago. Okay, I see where we're at. Because she don't believe a word. Because they're talking about how, Shang-Chi his name is Sean. That's his American name of what he came up with. And there was actually a funny reference to that as, or Shane, excuse me, Shane, not Sean, Shane. So she sits there, she's like, oh, so your name is Shang-Chi, and so you just decided to just say Shane. like you didn't go far with that, did you, bud? So yeah. But no, Shane was cool in that deal. And they're sitting there, and she's like, Shane has these 10 rings. His father was the leader of an evil organization, and his sister's over there right now closing up shop, blah, 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 blah. And that's when the lady friend's like, so you're just making fun of me now. And then all of a sudden, as her and her husband are sitting with their backs to the situation, all of a sudden, this big portal opens up, and Wong steps through it. And I'm like, awesome. Here we go. And then Wong's like, are you Shang-Chi? And Shane's like, yeah. He goes, you got the rings? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, you need to come with me. And then he looks at Katie and goes, you too. And she's like, I'm sorry, we gotta go. We'll catch up with y'all later. And they go through the portal, and then that is when you see the inside that they're, I don't know where they're at, but anyhow, they're looking at the rings, and apparently the rings have sent out a signal. And so that being said, yeah, I honestly, I love it. I love it. I love it. It was amazing. And then, you know what? Yeah. It was an amazing movie. It was an amazing movie. I loved it. I hope you guys did. Please, if you did, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Drop me a comment down below. Tell me I suck. I don't care. Tell me I look goofy with white hair. Tell me Iron Man's too old. I need to let it go. Whatever. I am James, XG Wolverine. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you next time.